Welcome back. I hope you had a fantastic break, Christmas, relaxing, New Year's, everything. But let's get back into it. We're going to review graphing polynomials. And remember, there's this whole big long list. We need to make a table of values, figure out the positive and negative zeros, find the x and y intercepts. Remember, x-intercepts are also known as zeros, aka zeros. And then we need to find our extrema, our extreme values, our mins and our maxes, and think about the end behavior. I always start when I do a graph thinking about what it's going to look like, a cubed graph. It's a positive cubed graph, so it could be kind of wavy, or it could just be sort of twisty. And so as I work through this, I'll be able to find, get a better idea of what it's going to look like. But I know it's going to be something like one of these two. So I'll make my positive values. I just ate spicy chicken, so I've got like a burny mouth right now. 1, -3. I don't have a first power, and I don't have no power at all. So I want to write those down when I do my table. My negative values, I'll do the same thing. 1, -3. I don't have a first power. I don't have a constant. And then when I plug in 0, 1, 2, and 3, I can get my values. Don't forget to put the missing power part in there. So 1, -3, 0, 0. When I plug in 1, multiply and add, so that'll give me -2. Multiply and add, multiply and add. Again, multiply and add. And complete the table. And I actually found a 0 right there. Go through and do the same thing on the negative side. And I notice on this side that I add alternating signs right away, and I also notice that it's dropping to negative infinity kind of right away, which is what I'd expect in either graph anyways. All right, so now the next thing I'm going to do is find my number of positive and negative zeros, and as far as positive goes, it looks like there's 1. As far as negative goes, this would become negative, this would stay negative, so there's going to be none. And I did find that 0 here at 3, 0. Now the other thing that I have to keep in mind is I could potentially have zeros at 0. Not even potentially, I know that I do. I have a 0 up here at 0. And so 0, 0 is another one. And it could be a 0 of multiplicity. It could be one that shows up more than once. And I can find that actually in my derivative when I find my extrema. Maybe it'll show up as a min or a max. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll just cut through there. I kind of already have an idea of what's going to happen. But then I'll do my y-intercept. My y-intercept is 0, 0 because there is no constant term on the end. And again, if I look at the graph or this table that I made, 0, 0. 0 is paired with 0. So up to the extreme values, take my first derivative and set it equal to 0. I can factor out a 3x. That gives me x minus 2. So 3x equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0. So my places of interest are 0 and 2. And that's kind of what I suspected. So when I do my f prime chart, 0 and 2. And I don't expect you guys to suspect those kind of things, but as you do them more, you can kind of find some little patterns and things that you're looking for. So when I do my test points, I am positive. Remember, I'm putting it in right here, so maybe I would choose something like -1, and it'd be a negative times a negative. If I do 1, I'm a positive times a negative. If I do something like 3, I'm a positive times a positive. So I'm increasing, decreasing, increasing. That gives me a max at 0, 0, and a min at 2, comma, up here in the table, negative 4. Next thing I want to look at is my end behavior, and remember that just comes from the limit as x approaches positive infinity and the limit as x approaches negative infinity. I look only at the lead term, and when I plug in a positive number and take it to the third power, it's just going to get really big. When I put in a negative power and take it to the third power, it's going to get really big negative. And so I know it's rising on the right and dropping on the left, and now I can put all of this stuff together in my graph. So I'll start with my zeros at 0, 0, 3, 0, my y-intercept at 0, 0. That's also a max at 0, 0, so I can plug that in. I have a min at 2, negative 4, so I'll approximate about where that is. It's kind of a messy spot right there. Guess it doesn't matter too much. I know it's dropping to the left, I know it's rising to the right, and the only thing that makes sense is to connect this continuous function. So there I go, I have my cubed power graph all put together with all of that information. If you, of course, need to pause this at any time, please do. And then double check and go back and look at and make sure you're okay with. But just going through that process, all of those steps, I know there are a lot of them, it takes a lot of work and it can be quite time consuming. I really urge you to turn this off and do the next problem on your own, and then come back and reevaluate. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you did turn that off and went through, paused it and went through. Here is my values. It's a fourth power, so and it's negative, so it's either going to be a kind of that kind of thing, or it could have been a wide parabola, or I could have a, remember, twist on the left-hand side, or I could have a twist on the right-hand side. Those are all the things that I would expect to happen. When I make my table, I see very, very symmetrical pieces, so I'm assuming it's going to be this first one. I wasn't able to find any zeros, so I just passed that because nothing showed up in the chart, but I did get a y-intercept, and I was able to find some extreme values, and actually they came out really nice. I had my max at -1, -1, and 1, -1, and a min at 0, -2. Did my first derivative factored, did my end behavior, and put it all together. And then it just clinched the fact that I was having trouble finding the zeros. That's because there weren't any. And so there is my final picture. I hope all went well with you. Please take the rest of the time to catch up on any missing homework that you need, review anything that you need so that you can come back all refreshed when I see you on Tuesday. I look forward to seeing you. Have a good one.